Welcome back to FES 149, and let us continue learning about data and information. This lecture will tackle how to import text file data to incorporate into your GIS project. It will also guide you in accomplishing laboratory activity number 6. It's called Importing Text Files into QGIS. There are times when the acquired data comes in a table or an Excel spreadsheet. If this data have a latitude and longitude coordinates, you can easily import this data into your GIS project. Suppose you have a text file holding the location of the households participating in a COVID-19 study in Agusan del Sur. You can import this data to QGIS and incorporate the data with maps. With this, you can better view your data and contain more data in the future for analysis. Suppose we had already downloaded our data and contained or placed that into our folder. So we are going to open that data. Now you see there are coordinates in latitude and longitude. We have household ID number. We have the heading above. Let us try to check how many households or participants in this in the survey. And then the next step is to check if there are errors in the data by using the filter capability or the filter tools in your Excel, and if you're using this one, spreadsheets. So by utilizing the filter, we will be able to locate or know the data that are redundant, because we can see the counts of this data per column. Like, say for example, we see this one, there are two data that are redundant, but we have to check each column if they are really redundant. And so if these are redundant, you are going to delete one of these record. And if you delete the record, of course, you are going to edit also the numbering or the code that you use. Let us try to open or check more data if there are still more redundant data. We have here 4 data that are redundant. So again, we are going to, if we are going to delete this one or the data, so we are going to delete 3 and retain 1 of this data. But in this exercise, we're not going to delete the data. Let's just leave the data alone, and then let's go back in the later time. Then we are going to highlight all the data only. So we can use Control A for this one, and then we can save, or we will save our data into another format. So we click File, Save As, and then we will save or create a data in a comma delimited text format. So we are going to select CSV, comma delimited text. If you also, or you might also like to change the file name of your the newly created data to avoid confusion with other formats later on. So you can just do the editing or renaming the original, and then you see the new file will replace the display, but it will not replace the original data. And so we have here the 2 data now in our folder, the original data, and the other one is the data that we just created, which is a comma delimited text. Now we can now open this data in the QGIS software. So assuming that we already opened our QGIS software, let us click Open Data Manager and then look for the delimited text. So that is a comma icon, and then browse for the data that we created a while ago. So that was a CSV format, and that was saved in the folder where we saved the downloaded data, the original data in Excel. And then let's highlight that one and click Open. And then in the window, just follow what are being checked or selected. But there is an important thing you need to consider: the X and Y coordinates. So try to review what is X and what is Y. So about the latitude and the longitude. Then set the CRS or the coordinate reference system. Do not forget. There are several choices maybe in your when you do this, but in this exercise we will utilize the common WGS84, FSG 4326, WGS84, that is grid geographic coordinate system. And in this table, the sample table below will show us if the latitude and longitude are properly selected, so we'll be able to review. So if everything is already set, then we can load the data. So as you see, the text file in a CSV format is now loaded in the QGIS. But there are some errors you see a while ago that might be from the encoding. You might not be able to appreciate this one, but let us load the GeoJSON data that you created a while ago in your previous lab, rather. So that was the map of Agusan del Sur. That was laboratory activity number 5. So a GeoJSON. So let's open that one. It will be incorporated in the project. Now let us overlay locations of the households. Right. So let us export the text file into a shapefile. So again, this time we'll be creating another data. Last time we created a GeoJSON data. This time we'll create a shapefile. So let us save this in the folder where we save the CSV format, or the limited text format, and the original data. So let us select a file name, and then don't forget to set the coordinate reference system, the CRS. So again, let's use the WGS84, the FSG 4326, the most common. We can do the reprojection later on. In here, we know that we are adding or loading a points data in terms of geometry. But the software has the option to place it automatic. But we can also set that into points, because we know that we will be loading points, that is specific location of the households participating in the survey. Then don't forget to check, add the output into the map. Okay, so we have here our shapefile loaded. Then let us remove the text file, the CSV that we created or loaded first, since we already converted or created a new file, that is shapefile. Okay, so if you look at the folder, you might observe the content or the file types when we created the shapefile. There are several extensions. Then let us change the symbology of the household data, the newly created shapefile. So we can have we have a lot of options in terms of symbols. Later on in our further study, in the future demonstration, I might include other symbols. For the meantime, let us use these simple symbols. You might change the circle into another shapes or change color. Let us, for example, try another shape and another color. Let us see a triangle. Let us try a triangle, and then let's yes. So we can also remove the color fill of the map, the GeoJSON data that we loaded. So we can make the field transparent, and let us retain or also change the color of the outline. Alright, let us add a raster background to our map. So really appreciate the location. So let us add either, or let us add a Google satellite or a OpenStreetMap. So let's try first the Google satellite. You see the locations of the houses, the actual locations of the houses. That is let us change the symbology into other colors, then explore the data that we just loaded. So in order for us to better appreciate where these participants are residing, so we might add the label, or we might label the map that we have. We will label it according to what municipality. So click properties and then label, and then select municipal, that is MC name, municipal and city's name. It's also reflected in the attribute table if you look at there. So you can change the color of the font and even the size. Alright, so we have now our municipalities labeled. So can you count how many participants are there in each, for example, in a certain municipality? Alright, if we recall a while ago, there are also errors. That one and the other one, we can select those errors, and actually we can delete that errors or correct the errors. So let us first click select. So the data is highlighted in yellow, as you see. So we can open the attribute table, and in the attribute table we can locate where this data is. It's also highlighted as it is being highlighted in the map. So you see the relationship between the map and the attribute, they are related. So when we highlight a data in the map, it's also highlighted in the attribute table. Now we can delete or edit this data. So we click start editing, and then we can delete. We can select delete, or maybe if we know the coordinates of that data there, we can edit. But for the meantime, let's just leave that as is, and let's go back to our map here. You see, as we uncheck uncheck a layer, it will not also appear or reflect in the map. Now we are adding the OSM, OpenStreetMap. So you decide which of the two will look better. the Google satellite or the OSM. You have seen the process of importing a text file, mainly encoded in a spreadsheet, transform it into a CSV format for the QGIS software to read. One crucial aspect you must consider in the process is assigning the X and Y coordinates. It might be the part where most of you will get confused. Note that the Y coordinate is the latitude, and it specifies the north to south position of a feature. The longitude determines the east and west position of the point of interest. It is the X coordinate. When the text file loads in the project, you must transform it to another format like a shapefile to make it ready for further editings, like when we add data in its attribute table and perform analysis. In the future lab, we will revisit the output of this activity and perform other techniques like incorporating data with no spatial reference.